This NASCAR 2025 Win Totals Edition, Part 2 of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sports book available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Oh, hey. Welcome in, everybody. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. You caught me mid-sip of my coffee. It's a late afternoon coffee for me as I need to stay awake on a Friday afternoon after what's been a very, very long week. But, Cody, we've made it. We've reached Friday, and we've got more win totals to break down for everybody today. A spirited conversation yesterday about a few of the drivers, and I have a feeling that we're going to have another couple of spirited conversations before the day's over.
Yeah, there's some drivers left on this list, Rod, I think that are going to incite some great conversation. And I'm pretty excited to dive into the second half of the 2025 win totals.
Yep. If you haven't already, and if you really feel like you're missing anything, go back, listen to that one, then come back. But I guarantee you probably won't have missed much because I don't know that many.
I'm so weird about that as a podcast listener, Rod. Like, yeah. I don't like to listen to shows out of order. Like, you could probably listen to this one and then go back and listen to part one, and really it doesn't make any difference. But for some reason, I can't ever talk myself into that. I got to listen to them in order, even though there's probably no reason for that.
It is funny to me because there are instances, especially on some of these other shows, like interview shows. I don't have a problem listening to interview shows out of order, but then you do find yourself sometimes like an Armchair Expert. I'll use that one as a for instance, right? Like with Dak Shepard, I'll listen to those, and you don't have to listen to those in order, but you find more often than not that if you're not listening to them in order, you miss out on a lot of the inside jokes that they have. And so something that they say may make sense to somebody that's listened to every episode versus me who pops in and out every once in a while.
All those great inside jokes we made yesterday will definitely make a lot more sense today.
Well, you know, that's how you build listener equity, right? Where you share with them inside jokes and have some fun with them, as we always do with JDK, who pops in, says, yes, JDK, I don't know if you're answering a question.
Well, I believe that it would probably be the way that you titled the show, Rod. Will SVG win a race in 2025? I think JDK, sorry, I almost called him SVG, I think the real SVG thinks, the real JDK thinks SVG is going to win a race. And yes, and he does say show title, but his answer is yes, SVG will win a race in 2025, but that's not really the question, Rod.
No, that's not really the question. I guess it is a question, but may not be the question. I did that for clickbait. I'm starting to get better at this clickbait thing. Like AI's teaching me how to be better at clicky baity. So if nothing else, then AI's done its job there. So speaking of AI, don't let the monsters win. Download the SGPN app right now. You can get it. It's completely free. You have easy access to all of our shows. You get all of our picks pages. You can find the merch store where you can get beautiful SGPN mugs like this, which, by the way, Cody, come the end of this month, I'll probably have myself my own Racing Gambling Podcast mug, finally. And you can get all of that stuff. It's free wherever you get your apps. And like I said, I get so excited that I hit my microphone and make everybody in the car go, ow! But
that noise.
Don't really care at this point. Anyways, yes, go download that app. We love you for it and have some fun with it. But yeah, Cody, like we said, we are here to discuss the second half of the list that we have for win totals. You can find these on MyBookie. You can find these on Caesars. Both are giving you opportunities to bet on this, and we'll give you both the lines and the odds from each of the books that have them out right now. I find that I'm sure other people will follow suit here before too long, but these are the ones that we got out, and these are the ones we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And we can talk about more when more come out. We have no problem with that, Rod, along with a lot of other future stuff we've got to talk about. If you didn't catch yesterday's episode, make sure you go back and listen, either now or after this show. But we talked about Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Carson Hocevar, AJ Allmendinger, Ryan Blaney, and William Byron. That was as far down the list as we got. Plenty of big names to go on today's show.
Speaking of one of those, I feel like it's time to just dive right into this one. It's just a continuation.
That's the thing about the Friday shows, Rod. It's like there's nothing else to mess around with. Like, we're caught up on the news. We've talked about it all. Although King's Hawaiian is leaving RFK. I don't know if you saw. There's
no more
conflicting sponsor deals with the Kroger thing, I guess, one of the partners they bring. So no more Brad Keselowski, but somebody else is going to have that beautiful Hawaiian Rolls car. So look forward to that for your favorite driver, maybe. But now we're caught up on the news.
I don't know how we're going to mix in the nickname then, because it's got to have to be something that can be, breaded.
Yeah, I mean, like Brett Elliott just doesn't sound the same when it's Chase Elliott, right? So we're gonna have to do some behind the scenes workshopping on a nickname there. But let's get into the rest of these win totals.
All right, let's do that. All right, we already allocated all 36 wins yesterday, so we're not really gonna have any.
Take the under on all these guys, and you're good.
Under on everybody on this one. But let's start with somebody I think we have to award at least one or maybe two wins to, and that is young Dennis Hamlin. Not necessarily getting any younger, I suppose, but Denny Hamlin, his total set at 3.5 on both MyBookie and Caesars. The under for this one, -124 on MyBookie, -135 on Caesars. Surprisingly, though, Cody, first and foremost, that the under is that juiced. And then the over is at -111 and +105. I will tell you that for Denny Hamlin over the last 4 seasons, he has only he hasn't topped 3 wins in the last 4 seasons. He's 7 in 2020, 6 in 2019. But do we think that there's a 4th win in there, even though he hasn't done it in the last 4 years?
Well, Rod, I think this could be one of the easiest ones on the board for me. And it is a very easy Denny Hamlin under 3.5 wins. I think that they're being very respectful to the veteran driver on a good team, putting his number at 3.5, but I think the number is way too big. As you said, he hasn't done it the last couple of seasons. He's 44 years old now. He's getting closer. Let's start thinking about Kevin Harvick. Let's start thinking about Martin Truex Jr. Let's start thinking about Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson.
Don't you
These
say
guys as they got older, Rod, Richard Petty. It doesn't matter who it was, right? Even Dale Earnhardt. As they got older, the wins didn't come as quickly. I know he's got that big goal. He wants to get to 60 wins, but we already talked yesterday. Joe Gibbs Racing didn't win a race after New Hampshire back in June. So that's slightly concerning from the team aspect. They're making crew chief shifts, and you could argue one of the best crew chief pairings in the garage. I don't even think really it's an argument. It is one of the best for sure. Top 3, I would say, in the garage was Denny Hamlin and Chris Gabehart. Well, Gabehart is now no longer his crew chief. He's still going to be part of the team, but they're shifting Chris Gale over, who, A lot of people didn't love for Ty Gibbs, and they give Tyler Allen, who's coming up with all these wins from Xfinity, to Ty. Maybe they hit some magic and just needed a change of scenery, and this is what does it, right? But as much as I hate to see it, we might be creeping closer to the end of Dennis Hamlin as we knew him. And as sad as it is, I think this number is just way too high. Is he going to win a race? Yes. Is he going to win 2? Probably. Is he going to win 3? Maybe. Is he getting all the way to 4? Very capable of doing it. I will say that, right? And we know he can win anywhere. Again, super speedways, maybe not road courses, but super speedways, short tracks, intermediate. He can win in all these places, but he hasn't been doing it the last couple of years. And as JDK points out, he's suing NASCAR. Again, I really don't think that matters. I don't think that has any. I mean, you look at Tyler Reddick making it to the championship 4. Like, I don't think that's going to change anything. And JB asking what's the latest on the lawsuit. Not really any change since we talked earlier this week. They're suing, they're counter-suing, everybody's suing and pointing fingers, and it's the Spider-Man meme where we're all just looking at each other right now, waiting for the courts to figure things out. So, but again, as we talked about earlier this week, I'm not using that in my handicap at all. For all we know, by Daytona, this could be completely resolved and everybody's fine. By the time, we get to April, May, it could be completely resolved and everybody's fine. Maybe it drags out longer. Who knows? I'm not putting that in there, but even despite that, I don't think that he's going to get to 4 wins, and I think even 3 could be a struggle. So this is a pretty easy under 3.5 for me on Denny.
So I'm with you on this one, and I would even lay the juice on this one, because if you even just take a broader picture of Denny Hamlin's career, right? In his 20 years as a NASCAR full-time driver, he's only, I'd say 19 years. He didn't have a full season in 2005, or 2005 rather. But here's the thing. He's only done this.
Are you breaking news, Rob? He didn't have a full season in 2025?
No, this
have you seen the script? Are you
Sean
Sean Green with Christian McCaffrey's script already?
or yeah, I am, as a matter of fact. No, this just in. Denny Hamlin cannot run because he's suing NASCAR. No, listen, in 19 full seasons with Cup, he's only surpassed 3 wins 5 times. So we think about this and him being one of the greatest drivers of the era, and you're absolutely right. He's been one of the more consistent and great drivers of our time. However, 4 wins in a season has only happened for him 5 times in 19 tries. So this just tells me that it's not easy for him to get those 4 wins, which means the under on this one, I know it's juiced, and I know that it's kind of
minus 124 is not.
That's not really.
Bad. You're going to lay more than that on a football game this weekend, so that's not that crazy. The other thing too, and maybe it would have been good for you to listen to yesterday's show for this part of it, but you brought up how we haven't had more than 2 drivers win more than 3 races over the past multiple seasons, which is very important going into this. Spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to yesterday's episode, we have Kyle Larson, we have Christopher Bell, and potentially maybe Tyler Reddick going over 3 wins already. So we already sort of broke that rule. But to me, Denny's just not one of the drivers even in contention for that. And it's not, obviously he's a great driver. Like I personally believe he's the greatest driver to never win a championship. And I think he still could win a championship because you don't have to win a lot of races to win the championship. I would say CJ Logano, but even he's sort of won a lot of races this past season. So yeah, I feel like we're starting to get towards the end with Denny, and we've seen this story time and time again. And even these great drivers who are capable of winning 10 races in a season like Kevin Harvick can't win more than 2 at the end, or can't win in their final season. And Denny's definitely pushing closer to that. You throw on top of it the changes in crew chief and all of that. I think those are all concerning things and are going to keep him under this total.
Yeah, I'm just not necessarily sold to that each and every time now, because people don't understand. It's the younger folks that really don't get it. Once you get to about 40, then 42 and 43, you start to shift everything that you think about, everything that you were concentrating on when you were a younger person, younger man, younger woman, whatever. That stuff just changes. Like there's a switch, especially at 45. That switch just flips, and you're like, well, do I really want to be in a race car every single day of my life? Or would I rather play catch with my kids? Or would I rather, be at a recital? Would I rather do this? Like the things that you thought were important when you were 20 and you were hard charging, and then even the things that you thought were important when you were 40, they just stopped being that important because you have different focuses. And so, I mean, it's not that we're saying that the ability for him to do this decreases. It's just the drive and the motivation to continue in the rat race when you know full well that you've already been successful. You could probably walk away from this and never go hungry a day in your life, right? For the rest of your life. And your kids will never go hungry and their kids will probably never go hungry. So I'm just saying, like, when you talk about, the aging of the drivers and the getting older, it's not about their ability to do it. It's about their ability to want to do it.
It might be more about the ability to be able to do it than the want to. I don't think he's lacking any want to. And yeah, I think as you get older, obviously you start to look at things differently. That's why he's taken on the team ownership role, right? And there is an argument to be made about being distracted with all of that. And I think maybe we saw that at the end of last season with him. Maybe it didn't affect Tyler Reddick and the 2311 team as much, but maybe it did affect Denny. And if you want to add that on top, I'm not even factoring that in, but if you add that on top, that really pushes you over on the unders. So, I just think that we're not going to see very many, if any, 4-win seasons from Denny anymore. And I think really, I don't tell the books, Rod, but I don't know if I would have taken the over at 2.5, let alone 3.5. So I think that really should show you how good I feel about the under.
Yep, I would have paused for sure and thought about it. I would have had to look at the numbers, but yeah, obviously, if they're good enough, I may have taken the over on 2.5, but I don't necessarily see that anyways. But okay, we spent 10 minutes on Denny Hamlin. I didn't expect that, but I guess that's one of the bigger ones. Well,
wow, us talking a long time about something, Rod. Who would have thought?
Well, that's why we have this show, right? That's what we ended up doing with it. So
rapid fire when we get back. No, just kidding.
No. All right. Well, when we get back, that's right, because we're going to step away real quick and tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We got more drivers to talk about, but let's tell you about Underdog. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You can win up to 1,000 times with Underdog streaks. Underdog's always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. You want NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, and so much more. It's all available for you. Esports as well, too. I've been diving into esports. I just love esports now because it's kids playing, it's adults playing video games, and I wish that I could be them. So I live vicariously through them. But I'm going to use my pick this week on Max Verstappen, going to put him at whatever the worst then number for him is. So go find that. And while you're at it, sign up with our promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000. Ooh, I get all choked up when I talk about it. In bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code RACE SGPN. We're brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sports book available in 45 states. Plenty of betting opportunities. They are all available over there on Rebet. It's easy to use, great for people in states where traditional sports book may be restricted. Still looking at you, California. Download Rebet in the App Store now. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. Yes, sir. So, if you want some racing this weekend, for sure, we are looking at the Snowball Derby happening on Sunday and Abu Dhabi, which is the final race of the F1 season. 24 races this season, and that's the longest in F1 history, but it's all wrapping up this weekend in Abu Dhabi, and it'll be fun to watch. I do love watching that race because it always offers a lot of entertainment.
Sure does.
Okay. Mark checking in. He's saying yes. Everybody's answering the question. That's what I love about this title. We had a meeting, just to pull back the curtain a quick second. We had a meeting with the bosses the other day, and they were talking to us about how YouTube doesn't necessarily enjoy the normal
generic like win totals part 2.
Yeah, no, they don't like that. They want you to be dynamic with your titles. And so I've started to try to get dynamic with my titles. Apparently, you guys like it, so we're bringing it in. And for those of you listening on the traditional podcast form, I'm sorry. Maybe I will.
Like, what question are you talking about?
That's right.
The question is labeled win totals part 2.
The question on YouTube is, will SVG win a race? And we'll get to that.
He says, and an oval. Oh, Mark. Whoa. Holy, where is he going to win at an oval? I'm interested to see the answer to that one. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in the answer on this next one, Rod.
Yes. Well, so KFB, Kyle Busch, he is only set at 1.5. The under on this one?
I would say he's set up at 1.5, Rod.
He's set up at 1.5. But we'll dive into this in a second. The under on this one is -153. So guess where the books are at. And the over is at +111. That's on my bookie. The under on Caesars -150, and the over is at +120 over there on Caesars as well. So, Cody, you say he's set up. We obviously know that his streak was broken this last season. His long tenured streak of wins, at least in one win in a season, is gone. But does he start a new streak next year? I mean, look, one win is all he needs for to start a streak. 2 wins to cash this bet. You obviously sound like you're not high on Kyle Busch.
Well, I wasn't saying that I wasn't high. I just thought it was an interesting place to set the number because he didn't win any last year, Rod. But come on, you know me. I drink the KFB Kool-Aid. Of course he's going to win 2 races in 2025. So look, you're getting this, plus 120 over on Caesars. I do like that number. Obviously the plus money side, so the books don't think that he can do it. I think that there's some interesting things to consider here, right? He's been very good recently on super speedways. He was this close to winning at Atlanta, right? He was part of that 3-wide finish there. He probably should have won the race at Kansas in the fall where he was leading, got the air taken off of him by Briscoe, spins out, doesn't win there. Austin Dillon, let's not forget, he did win at Richmond by taking out 2 people, but prior to the late caution flag, thanks Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Dillon was just going to win that race by himself, Rod. So that's 3 RCR wins that, well, 1 they did get, but the other 2, both for Kyle, were very close. It's not like RCR has been completely out to lunch. There were some times last year where it was like, God, what's going on? And it felt like such a frustrating season for Kyle, but had he won that Atlanta race, if he'd have been, stuck his Lightning McQueen tongue out just a little bit farther, Rod, the season and everything would have been different. We'd have been talking about the win streak going on. He made the playoffs. Everything's good. Everything's great. So let's not overreact to what seemed like a horrible season for Kyle Busch, because it really wasn't that bad. The win streak is obviously very notable. He was frustrated at times, but Austin Dillon made the playoffs. Well, he didn't make the playoffs. He made the playoffs, then unmade the playoffs, whatever. But he won a race, which he would have won purely on speed before that. I think that there's plenty of hope to add there. Obviously, we talked about him on the championship episode as well. I think for where his number is at, he's worth taking a shot on. But they can do it. I have faith in them. Plus money for the Kyle Busch over side of things. I'm on the over, Rod. I was just playing a little coy, trying to set it up with saying they were, giving this big number they're laying on him. You can't lay a big enough number for Kyle Busch.
I'm not good with subtlety. You have to hit me over the head with everything you're trying to say. No, and look, I'm with you on the over as well, because as much as we really piled on, or at least I piled on Kyle Busch last year, and I'm sure it really made him lose sleep that this guy over here on this silly little podcast we have was piling on him. But it was not. You could tell he was just physically not and mentally not the same Kyle Busch that we're used to seeing, and I don't see that happening again coming into this year. And you're right, he was a Lightning McQueen tongue away from being there in Atlanta. He started on the pole in Dover, ended up finishing 4th. It wasn't as if Kyle Busch did not have his opportunities. The only thing was cashing in on those opportunities. And when I talked about Denny Hamlin as far as only winning more than 3 races in 5 seasons, you look at Kyle Busch, it's the complete opposite. In 22 years as a NASCAR driver, right, 20 of those full time, there's only been, and really if you take out those other 2, there's only been 5 instances. Wait, hold on. Let me double check and count it again, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 instances across a 20-year career in which he hasn't won at least 2 races. Obviously, last year being the biggest one of all, not winning a single race. But before that, it was 3 races in 2023, 1 race in 2022, 2 races in 2021, 1 race in 2020, although 2020 was, I don't count anybody from anything. But before that,
wow, I will not have you hate on Chase Elliott.
This is true. That was your championship year. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My bad. 2020 counted for Chase Elliott, not everybody else. But 5 wins in 2019, 8 in 2018, 5 in 2017, 4 in 2016. 5. You get the picture on painting, right? I mean, that was a very down year for Kyle Busch. Everybody has them. Everybody has a year in which they would wish they could forget. Kyle Busch is a good enough driver to put it back together. I love they're giving us plus money for the over on 1.5 because I feel like he's coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, and that's what really helps you propel wanting to take the overside is you're not only do you like it, but you're getting plus money with it as well. You know, if it's minus 153 on the over, maybe we're not gonna lay that, right? But your brother checking in, Nick, big KFB fan, if I do recall correctly. KFB, you say at 1.5, sigh. Give me the over. I think he bounces back next year. I think he does too. I don't think he's got that far to bounce back. Jeff also checking in, Rod. Jeff Curry over on the YouTube saying, I'd say SVG has a good chance of winning next season. He also agrees with the oval. I'm curious what oval you guys think he's going to win. We haven't got to the SVG part yet, so stay tuned. We got a few more on the list before we get to them, but I'm excited to talk about SVG here in a few, Rod, especially where his win total is, which is maybe the most interesting part of things. But Mark also saying every road course SVG race this year, he finished top 10. The penalty counts at Coda. So, we got more thoughts on SVG coming up, Rod. But first, who's next on the list?
Well, but first, I'll tell you what, I'd like to go commercial free through the rest of this one. So let's do that by taking care of this. Let's talk to you about MyBookie. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is OG with the SGPN. I'm telling you right now, they have had had their back and had our back for years and years and years. Check out their new and improved website, which, by the way, looks great on mobile, plus props for every game, and more importantly, the live dealer option over there. I love live dealer games, whether it's blackjack, whether it's poker, whether it's baccarat, like anything you can do. I love it. So make sure you check that out as well. You even get new early cash out options. I'm staring right now at my favorite bet of the entire day. If you're listening now, and if you're listening tomorrow, I'm either right or I'm wrong. Army +5 against Tulane in the AAC championship game. Yes, please give me Army +5 in this one. Even give me Army on the money line at +170 over the Tulane Green Waves for the AAC championship, or the American championship, rather. I'm all about it. Go Army, beat Navy, but beat Tulane first. So you can find that there as well. Head to mybookie.ag. Use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. And you can get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props, whatever it is you want. You can build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all, trying to figure out where to be on this Brock Purdy passing yards over. So I'm going to use Rhythm to crunch the numbers because my heart's going to get in the way, and I'm going to want Brock Purdy to throw for 6,000 yards. It's just not possible. So Rhythm's going to tell me where that number should be and where I should bet. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. About to win ourselves an Atlantic Conference championship. Thank you very much. Go Army.
Well, I just can't wait for a couple of weeks from now. Rod, when Navy beats them, no matter what championship they may or not.
Hey, we are doing our traditional Army-Navy show, right? We better do that. Yeah, that's yeah. Sorry.
You know, watching the YouTube. Got my Go Navy towel hanging on the wall behind me. Yeah, we will definitely have we will definitely have plenty of Navy Army talk. What is that? That's next week already?
Yeah, it's next weekend.
Yeah, good.
At Yankee Stadium, by the way, which is going to be awesome.
Which is pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, it is. Somebody's got to play for a championship there. All right. Let's move on to the next driver, and that is Michael McDowell. His win total this year is set at, drum roll please, and it's probably not going to surprise anybody, a half a win. So is what the thing is. Can Michael McDowell win a race this year? I guess that should have been the question.
Yeah, that is the question, Rod. Of course, if you don't remember, Michael McDowell has departed Front Row Motorsports. He will no longer be in the 34 car. No lawsuit for him to worry about. He is going to be driving the number 7 car for Spire Motorsports. I don't know if that would instill confidence after watching that 7 car. Wait, is he in the 7? No, he's not going to be in the 7. That's Justin Haley.
Yeah, Haley's.
Which one's McDowell? He's going to be in the 71.
Yeah, the 71. Because 77 is harsh.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, 71, I don't know if that inspires any more confidence in you. But Michael McDowell, Rod, going to be in the 71 for Spire Motorsports. Win total set at 1/2 here. So the main question is, right, can Michael McDowell win a race? Like some of the other guys we talked about yesterday at the half win, the biggest part of this question is he going to win one of the 6 super speedways? Obviously, he's won at Daytona previously, the 500. So we know that he's capable of it. And he's a guy that's consistently pretty good at super speedway racing. He's also been very good at road course racing, challenging for wins. Not quite, but Chris Buescher had been continually good and then challenged for a win and got one at Watkins Glen this season. So I would say that you could maybe put a little bit in that bucket of there's some chance he could win a road course, right? Probably unlikely, but some chance. So does he win a super speedway? Does he win one of the road courses, Rod? Again, I think that maybe the way to go about this is just to take most of these guys on the under with the no side of things, because there's only 6 super speedway race wins to go around. And we saw last year, sometimes those go to the William Byrons and the Tyler Reddicks and the Kyle Bushes. And yes, Daniel Suarez grabs one and throws out my under ticket on his win total last season. But I just don't have a ton of faith in Michael McDowell winning in his first season over there at Spire. They're continuing to build things, right? Going to be a guy we're going to target for top 10s pretty often, probably. And expect a solid season from him. But a race winning season, I mean, yes, he did win at Daytona. I believe that's still his only career win, Rod, and he's at, 500 career starts. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in betting the over as well. Now, the under is -160, so might just be one you stay away from. But if I'm going to bet it, it's going to be on the under.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The under on this one is so I didn't even read off the numbers because it just almost doesn't make any sense.
Like, did he win somewhere else, or does he just have?
Well, he's got two career wins in 2021. He ended up winning. He won a race in.
Didn't he win like somewhere random?
No, he won at Daytona, and then in 2023, he ended up winning in the Indy GP.
Oh, he did win a road course. Yeah. He won. Yeah. Huh, weird. I forgot about that.
But the under here is at -167 over on MyBookie and -160 on Caesars. The over +120 on MyBookie, +130 on Caesars. But you're right. In 501 career starts in the Cup Series, he only has 2 wins. It's very hard for me to get behind a over, even at +120. And I know Mark's saying that Michael McDowell will win at Darlington too. But will he though? Because he didn't this year, and he hasn't won at all, other than the Daytona 500.
I'm trying to pull him up. Like, is he really that good at Darlington? I mean, I guess he's got a 6th place finish in 22 in the 500, but really 1 6th and 1 7. I mean, he's got 3 career top 10s and 19 starts in the Southern or at Darlington in general. Only one of those was the Southern 500 even. So. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. That's an interesting call out, and he'll be a big number. Like, if you think that's the case, just bet him to win that race, I guess.
And but, that's what I was about to say. You are going to get way better odds for him to either win a race, obviously, because we're talking probably 10-1 in some instances, and even longer odds than that. So if you want to make money off of Michael McDowell, you go race by race. You don't put any of your money into this because you look at the 71 with Zane Smith. We talked about wanting to consider him as a top 10 car more often than not, but I mean, we're talking finishes of like 35, 36.
Yeah. And like, this is still the 3rd team for Spire. Like, they're still trying to build up their program. Carson Hocevar's probably the lead dog sort of over there. The 7 car's always kind of been the lead car. You got Justin Haley in that one, and he's the one that's getting the special crew chief in Rodney Childers. Like, it's going to be hard for him to win. Now, he could win at a super speedway. Of course, he's going to be a guy we're going to look at when it comes to the Daytona 500 in a couple of months that we're going to consider betting on to win that race because he's done it before and he's been good at that type of racing. But I don't think he gets over a win this season, Rod, unless it's one of those types.
Yeah, I mean, again, we always talk about the fact that anything can happen at super speedways, and anything does. That's why he got one of his wins. But when you got 2 wins in 51 tries, it's just hard to really back you on another one. So one guy we don't have to worry about kind of backing is, yes, my friend, he's got his Chase Elliott shirt on. Cody's all prepared to talk about Chase Elliott, his favorite driver. The total set at 1.5 wins. My bookie's got the under at -117 and the over at 117, so they're just hedging either way. Caesars has the under at +110 and the over at -140. Caesars fully expecting Chase Elliott to pick up one more win than he did last season. No wins in 2023, but 5 in 2022, 2 in 2021, 5 in 2020, 3 in 2019, and 3 in 2018. So, Cody, does he get back on the right foot and win 2 races this year?
Not just my favorite driver, the people's favorite driver, the most popular driver, of course. This is absolutely crazy. 1.5? Are you fucking kidding me? What are we doing? This is the first time potentially in the history of the world that I've seen them undervalue Chase Elliott on the books. Generally, Rod, he gets the bumped up, right? The Yankees win total is always higher. The Cowboys win total is always higher because they're the popular teams and everybody wants to bet them. 1.5? Are you kidding me? Let's look back at the last 2 seasons, right? 2022, Rod, he had the skiing accident, broke his leg, didn't win any races. 2023, I think there were still some residuals. How many times do we see these football players? It takes him a season to get back to it. He only won 1 race. He was close on a couple of others. Sort of a disappointing season, but he was still the most consistent driver in the field. I think he completed just about more laps than anybody, more top 20s than anybody. I think he only had 2 finishes outside of the top 20. Just didn't have that quite race-winning speed that we've seen. But he changed teams this offseason, Rod, and now, oh, wait a minute. He still races for Hendrick Motorsports. Never mind. Are you serious? Like, I just don't even – yes, I'm a Chase Elliott fan, but I think you would know at this point, like, I don't completely – okay, sometimes my bias creeps in on bets, but not always, Rod. I got my Corey LaJoie picture over here. Don't worry. But Chase Elliott is going to win 2 races. He's probably going to win, 2 of the last 5 years. He's won 5 races. And every other year in his career since he started winning has been over the 2 wins as you go back. So I think this number is just way too little for Chase Elliott. And I'm really – like, you look at some of these other people and where their numbers are set at. Denny Hamlin's set at 3.5, and Chase Elliott's all the way down at 1.5. It just doesn't seem to quite, match up. And we took some wins away from Denny. We took some wins away from William Byron. I think those types of wins are the ones that can be redistributed into Chase Elliott's win column, and he only has to win 1 more. I mean, and again, talk about a guy that can win anywhere. Super speedways, we've seen it, right? Road courses, we really used to see it a lot all the time. It's been a little down in the next gen era, but he's still in competition. We know he can win at short tracks. We know he can win at intermediates and everything else in between. So, this is really, Rod, I think if I had to pick a favorite on the board, this might be it. Chase Elliott should not be set as low as 1.5. I think I would bet the over on this at 2.5. I think 3.5 is where I would pause and have to really consider it. But this is an easy over for me. And I really wanted to point this out on my bookie. My bookie has both sides set at -117, Rod. They don't know what to do. If you have my bookie, guess what? You do, because it's available everywhere. Over, -117. It's not even, and Caesars, for reference, has a -140. They obviously think he is going to go over. Take advantage of my bookie here. Hopefully they're not listening to us tell people that, but take advantage of promo code SGPN for my bookie, Rod. I think it's just mispriced in my opinion.
I'm sure they're not mad at us sending business their way. So definitely go hammer that. But look, you look at some of his finishes last year, and really, you talk about consistency. His average start, 11.6. His average finish, 11.7. Like, literally, he starts where he finished in most cases, but he's got great finishes down the stretch, too. Second place in Martinsville. He had 129 laps of that Martinsville race. Homestead, he finished in 5th, right? Which is not a win, but we want to talk about starting and finishing consistently in some top 5s. Top 5 at the Roval. He hit 2nd at Bristol. You go back to the Loudon, where he led 41 laps after starting on the pole. Fortunately, finishes 18th there, but Iowa, 3rd place. Sonoma, 4th place. Kansas, 3rd place. Martinsville, 3rd place. Richmond starts on the outside pole, finishes in 5th place. These are all opportunities that Chase Elliott, a fully healthy Chase Elliott coming into the 2025 season should be able to take advantage of at least one more of those and pick up 2 wins on the year. So I'm with you on this one. And my bookie is definitely giving you the best number on this one. So -117 for Elliott, over 1.5 wins this coming season.
Rod, can we mute Mark? He's giving away our picks already early. Mark, don't tell anybody. We know Kyle Busch is going to win the Daytona 500. I'm going to give that out in a couple of months. Actually, we probably, maybe next week. There is Daytona 500 odds out, Rod. So we're going to talk about those in the near future for sure. But Kyle Busch routinely makes my Daytona 500 card. We should have cashed that 2 years ago when he was leading at the end of regulation. Still a little bitter about that, but that's okay. It's okay, Mark. I forgive.
We forgive you, Mark. Don't go anywhere. We love you. In fact, that's what we love, because we keep saying to everybody that we cultivate a very educated audience.
Then once that happens, Rod, then all he has to do is one more, and you hit the over on his total. Oh, love it. It's great.
That's it. Yeah. Then first, the hardest part's out of the way.
Everybody will tell you he'll be locked into the playoffs at that point, even though we know that that's not mathematically possible. So they could go for broke wherever they want to after that. It's going to be great.
Okay. Are we ready to make some enemies? Or at least I'm going to make some enemies. I don't know. I'm just kidding. This shouldn't be that difficult.
Oh, yes.
Ty Gibbs, we have reached the point of the show where all of you 54 truthers are out there and can come at me, bro. Half a win. My bookie's got the under at -104, the over at -132. Caesars has the same number, but the under is at +130, which blows my mind how big of a gap that is. And the under at -160. So Caesars really, really trying to protect themselves if Ty Gibbs doesn't end up winning a race, whereas my bookie's taking a little more of a chance. So look, hasn't won yet. Sophomore slump's over. How many does he get? Really, it's not the question of can he, but how many does he get for you, Cody?
How many does he get, Rod? I was pulling this list up because I thought that this was a great list. Can you check for me real quick? How many starts does Tyrone Gibbs have in the Cup Series so far in his career?
87 starts.
87 starts, Rod. Here are some drivers who got their first win after their 87th career start. Jeff Burton. He went on to have 21 wins in his career. William Byron. He's done all right. Kyle Larson. I'm not sure who that is. I don't know what happened to that guy. 99 starts was his first win, Rod. Chase Elliott. Let's see. Mark Martin was on this list. Mark Martin, 40 races he won. Okay. Bill Elliott, 44 wins. Ross Chastain didn't get his first win until his 121st. So, Rod, sometimes it takes these guys a little while to winning, but once they do, you can't stop them. And that is going to be my guy, Tyrone Gibbs. Smash the over on this. Ty, I thought it was going to come last year, Rod. I did predict that. Apologies for getting it. I was a little early. Sometimes that happens. This is the year, Rod. Not only is he going to go over half a win, he's going to have at least 2 wins. Maybe he even gets to 3 wins, Rod. Easy over on the half a win on this. He's coming into a season where he's going to hit his 100th start. Let's fucking go, Tyrone Gibbs. This is just no question for me. It's an over. They're making the change to crew chief, which I think is going to be crucial. Tyler Allen's coming up. Obviously worked with all of those all-stars on the 20 car in Xfinity last year. Going to be a good change for Ty. We've seen Ty have some really good runs. He's shown a lot of speed, just hasn't quite closed it out yet. But we saw that time and time again with guys like Chase Elliott, where it's like, I don't know how many times Chase Elliott finished second. Casey Kane back in the day, he was worse than Dano Hemrick finishing second before he finally won. Ty's got it coming soon. He's in a fast car. He's on a good team. He is going to get at least 1 win, and I think more than 1 win. It's an easy over on Tyrone Gibbs for me.
And I am a little surprised. I would love an alternate on this one. I will take a 1.5 and take better numbers for the 1.5, because I feel like, he gets the win, but I would rather be sweating a 2-win ticket than a 1-win ticket, because I feel like it's more lucrative for a 2-win ticket than it would be for a 1. Just looking at some of, you talk about the starts, 87 starts that he's had, and he hadn't won a race. He started out the season. We thought this was going to be a pretty good season. And then, like I said, the sophomore slump hit, but 5th at Las Vegas, 3rd at Phoenix, 3rd at Coda, right? Those are 3 really good races in that first 6-race span. And then, of course, he just started to hit the wall before getting 2nd at Darlington, right? A runner-up finish at Darlington after leading 34 laps of that race. Charlotte came back. We thought maybe he's picking things back up again as he starts on the pole, leads 74 laps, but ends up finishing 6th at Charlotte, 3rd at Chicago. He starts in the pole at Pocono, has engine problems and can't finish that race. Michigan, 3rd, Daytona, 5th, Kansas, 5th. Really good finishes in these particular races, right? And I said, it's not that he's not a good driver. It's just that something is stopping him from being able to complete it, to be the one to win this race. He's going to win races. It probably will be next season. It's just not in it for him this year. So that's why all these Ty Gibbs fans were mad at me, because I kept trying to point out the fact that he's not getting it done this year, and they wanted to look through Gibbs colored glasses. And I was like, can't do it. Monster colored glasses, I guess, those green ones. But I was like, just hang tight. Next year we'll sing his praises. And so I think it begins with this. He definitely gets this win. And I mean, if they take this to a win and a half, depending on the numbers, you might just entertain that too.
Yeah, but don't wait for him to up it, Rod. Take it now at over a half, and you'll be happy.
Indeed, my friend. Indeed. All right. So there we go. Ty Gibbs fans, you may now come back to the show because we're not talking about him in bad judgment.
And I never did, Rod, for the record. Nick also checking in again. So this is when I get back in Cody's good graces after yesterday's Kyle Larson debacle. This will be a breakout season for Gibbs. Give me 3 wins.
Ooh,
my
brother.
Let's go. I love it. Coming in hot. You're back in my good graces, Nick. So shout out to you. Rod, this next one is interesting because out of all of these drivers that we've gone through and will continue to go through, this is the only one where the books disagree on more than just the juice that's set. They actually disagree on the number. So you get 2 different options depending on which side of it you want to go. And really, if you could pick one driver out of the entire garage to have a different number set on different books, Rod, this is the guy, right? Like the hardest guy in the garage to figure out when he's going to be good and when he's not going to be good. Although Rod might have cracked the code last year. But yeah, that's I'll let you take the floor from here.
Well, and that's exactly it, man. You're talking. If you've listened to one, see, this is why you don't listen to episodes out of order, because you don't know that we're talking about Joey Logano, who is every time we talk about him, he's the hardest guy in the garage to crack. However, if it's an even year, you go with everything. You go for broke. You take him as a championship winner. You take him to win at least 3 races. You take him to do all kinds of crazy stuff, because if you look at Joey Logano, but this is, my friend, I have cracked the code, because this is an odd year, which means he will only get 1 win this year. Why? Because in 2024, Joey Logano had 4 wins. That's fantastic. But what is 4? It's an even number. 2023, he wins 1 race. In 2022, Joey Logano wins 4 races. But what's 2? Oh, it's an even number. Never mind. In 2021, he wins 1 race. So over the last few years, that pattern has been 1-4, 1-4. What do you think 2025 holds in store for us? Probably 1 race, if not 2. I mean, look, in 2019, he did win 2 races, but that is not 3, right? That is not 4. That is not anything. The last time Joey Logano has won more than 3 races, let's go all the way back to 2015, where he ended up winning 6 races. So the 3.5 number, as we talked about, my bookie is giving you 3.5 wins. The under is at -144. The over is at +104. Caesars is giving you 2.5 wins. The under at +130, the over at -160. So my take on this one, Cody, is that I take Caesars under at +130 because it is an odd year. And I've documented the fact that he has only won more than 2 races in an odd year back in 2015. That was the last time he did it. Other than that, like I said, 2017, 1 win. 2019, he got 2 wins. And then 2021, 1 win. 2023, 1 win. It just, I'm sorry, but when you look at patterns like that, that's a pattern. That's not just something where you go, oh, it could be broken. No, this is what happens over the last 10 years. So I'm going to take the under 2.5 on Caesars for plus money.
Yeah, I agree with you. He again is the hardest guy in the field to pick and to figure out. And like the thing I'm waffling with is, do you just go to MyBookie and pay up a little at -144 and get the extra cushion of 1 more race because Joey can be Joey at times? potentially that would make me feel a little bit better. But I do agree with you. I think you just take the under on the 2.5. Rod.
No,
I just don't know with Joey. Like, it's so hard because the even and odd year thing is so weird that it's like there's something to it, but is there? Like, is he just going to fall off after another championship performance? I know they weren't great for the most part all year, but he ends up with 5 wins at the end of the day. Like,
okay, listen, I'll put this in terms that not only I can understand, but my brother can relate to, and that football fans can understand as well, right? The San Francisco 49ers have been on a dominant role for the last several years, right? It's been something that you've watched, Super Bowls, championships, all this stuff that the Niners can do. The one thing they cannot do is beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Could they do it on a basis? Sure. But the pattern is that they have not been able to beat the Chiefs in a very, 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 very long time. So if I'm a betting man, which apparently I am, you don't pick the Niners to beat the Chiefs. Your heart may tell you to go ahead and do it, but the numbers tell you don't do it. So with Joey Logano, it's sort of the same thing, right? We see this play out in the numbers. We see this play out. Could it happen? Cody, you and I both know in sports, anything can happen. Joey could go on a 10-win season. It's not likely, but it could happen. Wait, there's something my daughter and I watched the other day. It was a little reel on Instagram, and it said attacks from ninja penguins. The chances of the attacks from a ninja penguin is low, but it's never zero. And a ninja comes out and a ninja penguin comes out and kicks the guy, but it's never zero. So that's my thing. It's never zero. However, it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. So for me, when I look at this, I take the emotion out of it. I take how difficult it is to handicap Joey Logano out of it and just say the numbers are telling me to bet the under, even at 2.5.
Yeah, I think that. I think that's great. First of all, great analogy. I don't even know where to go with that because it was so good. But second of all, yeah, I think you go with the under. And we talked about his teammate Ron Blaney. Blaney seems to perform better during the regular season more than Joey does. And would it surprise anybody if Joey finds a way to sneak into the playoffs and go on a run? Obviously not. We've seen it before, right? But I just don't. It doesn't seem like something that he continually sustains year after year. So I'm going to bet against it. Look at Nico showing up just in time, Rob. Should we get to our next driver?
I do indeed. Hey, and by the way, Nico, shout out to the North Melbourne Kangaroos over there in the AFLW for winning the premier show. I loved that game, every second of it. So much fun to watch. If you don't know, you don't know. But yes, let's talk about our favorite driver in the realm of the outside of the United States version of it, SVG. It's no surprise. His win total set at, well, actually, it is kind of a surprise. 1.5.
Yeah, because see, and that's what I was leaning towards earlier. You have, will SVG win a race in the show title? But the real question is, Rod, will SVG win 2 races in the Cup Series? Because that's where his win total's set.
That's true. So, but I mean, I think we can still argue, will he even win a race? 1.5 is the number on both Caesars and my bookie. -167 for the under, +120 for the over on my bookie, +125 for the under, and -155 for the over. So Caesars tends to think that SVG is going to win 2 races. My bookie not necessarily as convinced.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because whichever side you like, you can go to one side or the other and take it because there's plus money on the over on my bookie, but plus money on the under over on Caesars. So whichever one you want. And again, this is sort of why we're highlighting both books that have the options, because there are some that are almost identical in the odds, but this is another case where it's different. So here's the thing with SVG, Rod, as we come into this season. Obviously what he did in the Xfinity Series, impressive, great rookie, comes in, wins all these races. I don't want to say we've seen this story before, but that happens fairly often, right? Guys like Ty Gibbs come in and tear it apart, and Noah Gregson's and Chase Elliott's. And then when you get to the Cup Series, it's a different story. Now, SVG is also a different story in his own case because he's a veteran race car driver. He's, 36 years old, I think. And he's been around a long time, and he's done this a long time. So I think that changes things. He is in a Trackhouse car instead of a Colleague car. I think that's a huge upgrade. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to win these races last year. Well, He didn't win any races in the Cup Series. No, it was College cars. Now he's going back to Trackhouse. Of course, that's where he won Chicago in the Trackhouse car. Also, a lot of things lined up perfectly for that to happen. That's another conversation for another day. They are, Chicago's still on the schedule. Now, he's not guaranteed to win Chicago. He finished dead last year in Chicago, right? So that can happen. But also Mexico City is on the schedule, Rod. That's a road course. It's going to be brand new to everyone for the most part. I think a few guys have run that in the Xfinity Series a long time ago, but really it's going to be a new track to everybody. I think that is an inherent advantage for SVG being put on a level playing field with everybody else. He's just going to have the advantage because he's the most experienced of all of the road course guys, I would say at this point, even over AJ, because AJ's done a lot more oval stuff recently. So, can he win Chicago? Can he win Mexico City? Boom, there's your 2 wins right there. He's obviously going to be in play at all of the road courses. Is he going to come in and dominate road courses like he did in the Xfinity Series? Absolutely not. He won't, because it's just that's not how it works in the Cup Series. This is the top level. This is the highest level. The competition's different. We saw him almost win at Watkins Glen, a minor mistake. Chris Buescher ends up beating him there. So the only problem with taking the over is I really feel like you're limited to, what do we have, 6 road courses again this coming season on the schedule. So you're limited to the 6 races, and he's got to win 2 of those 6, in my opinion. I know we had some guys in the chat saying he's going to win on oval. That's just not realistic, in my opinion. He's not going to win on a non-super speedway oval. I don't see any way that that's going to happen in his rookie season. We saw he wasn't even competitive on those in the Xfinity Series. So I don't see how he's going to translate that to being competitive. I think he'll have some good runs here and there, but he's not going to win those races in the Cup Series. Could he win a super speedway? Anybody can win a super speedway, except for Kyle Larson. Sorry, Rod. It just comes out. I have to. But it's pretty unlikely that he does. So the real question, Rod, does he win 2 of the 6 road course / street circuit races in 2025?
It's very likely that he does, because I think in road courses, that especially in Trackhouse equipment, we've seen Daniel Suarez come through at Sonoma. We've seen Ross Chastain do well in road course races. In that type of equipment, I feel like he has a fighting chance to do it. Again, you talked about it. It was very close for him at Watkins Glen with that 2nd place finish. 7th place at the Roval, right? Not bad in that 16 car as well after starting on the pole. And then, it wasn't a good day for him at Coda, and it wasn't a good day for him overall in Chicago. But Chicago, you can kind of toss that out with the weather and the bad strategy calls and all that other good stuff. So I think really honestly that he has the reality of being able to win 2 races this year in the Cup Series. And you're right. It's 2 of those 6 road course races, because his oval finishes. I mean, look, I get it. He's in Trackhouse now. I get it that it's a upgrade in equipment, especially on the ovals, than that 16 car or
reminder. Ross Chastain didn't even make the playoffs, and Daniel Suarez outside of the Atlanta win, not that good.
Yeah. So again, it's difficult because a 29th at Las Vegas that he had a 26th at Darlington, a 35th at Daytona. Remember, it's plate racing for him has not been the most fun. 28th at Talladega as well.
Like he's just never done it. So to think that he's with no experience, or the limited experience he now has, he started a couple in the Cup Series last year, and he started an Xfinity Series. But to think that he can translate that into a Cup Series Super Speedway win next year already, sure, he could, but I'm not putting the odds very high on that.
Yeah. And so really, honestly, just like you, I think I'm taking the over on my bookie because it's a plus 120. I definitely like that. So
did I say I was taking the over, Rod?
I don't know. Did you? It lost in there. It sounded like
I don't think I picked a side because I still haven't decided which side I like.
Okay.
So you're taking the over. I hate to do it, Rod, because I don't hate the guy, and I think that SVG is good, and I think that he's a really good driver.
Nope. We're gonna be the hate is gonna come, and I don't want to be here for it.
Rod is gonna leave the room, but here's the thing, Rod. He's still a rookie in the NASCAR Cup Series. This is the elite of the elite in stock car racing. It's the top of the board. And I know that he came in and he won his first career start, and it was a great story and everything. But I have a hard time, everybody's like, oh, you have to put him in a full-time car. He's guaranteed in the playoffs. He's going to win, right? Well, but is he? I mean, and what, 2 of those are in the playoffs, I think. So he's got to win one of the 4 that's before the playoffs to even get in there. I think that he probably wins one. I think the second one is going to be harder to get to because you've got to think of the competition. Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain and AJ Allmendinger and Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs. There was a lot of really fucking good road course racers in the Cup Series, and I just 2 is going to be tough. I think winning 1 is a very good rookie season for SVG, and I don't think that he cannot. I think that he can win 2. I'm just not willing to bet on it, Rod. So give me the under 1.5. In which case, I will. You'll find me over on Caesars at plus 125 for this.
Interesting. We're gonna have to. Boy, I wish cut bets were still a thing. We would be able to do that as well. So, all right,
they are still a thing.
They are. We'll just have to do it
not
on
a sponsor anymore.
Exactly. All right. Well, then, look. That's our SVG segment, and as good as it was, let's move on to the last one, which is not going to take me very long to say no to at all. And that is Austin Dillon. I don't even understand how that's on the list, let alone.
Well, he had a win this season, Rod. Why would he not be on the list?
Okay, you want me? Oh, here we go. Austin Dillon. Hold on. Let me go through this, and then I'll just.
I'll read it off while you find your stats.
Oh, no. My stats are already up.
You got. Oh, you came.
I'm going to summarily dismiss it before we even get there. My bookie's got the under half a win. By the way, is where
is that? Who put this in the doc? Is that right? Do they really have the under at plus 120? I'm going to double check my work, Rod, because I feel like that is probably wrong.
All right. Well, Caesars has it at minus 160 for the under and the over at plus 130. At least that much is true, unless Cody can back up the MyBookie play. But I will tell you this. All right. We say even year Logano is a thing. How about even year Dillon? That is actually even a thing as well. 2018, 1 win. 2019, no wins. 2020, 1 win. 2021, no wins. 2022, 1 win. 2023, no wins. 2024, 1 win. That's 1-0-1-0-1. It's not binary. That's just straight up. That's how many he's at. So if we're playing the odds, if we're playing the numbers, Austin Dillon does not win a race in 2025 because it's an odd year. So
you shouldn't doubt me, Rod. I was correct. It is under plus 120 over on MyBookie. So if you don't think he wins a race, oh wait, that was me that doubted myself, but that's okay. If you don't think he wins a race, go to MyBookie again, promo code SGPN, and get down on that. The only, just straight up, should Austin Dillon win a race? No, he shouldn't. But Austin Dillon has a knack for winning the weirdest shit, and that is what is scary. He's won the Daytona 500. He's won the Coke 600. He's won at Texas randomly. He won this year at Richmond. And again, yes, the move late to wreck the 2 guys, but before that late caution, he was just going to win the race. So yeah, maybe you're like, well, you had to wreck a couple of people to get there, but he was about to win it on his own before that. So he can just pop up and win. And that scares me to bet the under on. Now, I think since you're getting it at plus 120 on MyBookie, I think that you're required to bet the under on this because he's likely not going to win a race. And maybe when he does, if he does win a race, you're going to randomly be on him because there are good spots to get in on Austin Dillon. And he's actually a guy that we target on a fairly decent basis because he's got his tracks where he just, in his races where he pops up and does well. And maybe you cash out on him there. But I think you have to bet the under because the number, this is one of those half bets that I would expect to be at 160, minus 160 like it is on Caesars. I would expect to be at minus 200 on the under almost. Like some of these other guys that were set at half a win that probably aren't going to win. Austin Dillon has shown capable of winning over the years at different places and in different ways. But yeah, I think you have to take the under on half a win.
I'm with you on that one.
We're going to take his win and give it to Kyle Busch.
There you go.
And that's how we balance the force, Rod.
That's how we balance the force. But I will say that if you are an Austin Dillon truther, if you really believe in him, and if you really think he is going to win a race, then you're good too, because Caesars is giving you plus money on the over right there, plus 130 on the over for over a half a win. So however you feel about this, you will still be happy.
Do you think there's a lot of Austin Dillon truthers out there, Rod?
There's got to be one, maybe two.
Mom.
His mom,
His dad, and Richard, I think, believes in him. So there's three.
Sure.
Okay, good.
There's, Richard would probably put a couple of
Pop believes in all.
Yeah.
That, so it's all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've come to the end of the list, Cody. That was a spirited. I told you we'd have spirit.
You know what the good news about coming to the end of the list is, Rod? Another week is out of the way. We're another week closer to the season. Less than 2 months until the Clash at the Coliseum. 72 days until the Daytona 500. If my math is correct, that means is that right? 58 days until the Clash at the Coliseum. It's right around the corner, Rod. Let's fucking go.
I am so excited to just start counting down the days till the rest of the season or the new season starts, and that we can start talking actual race odds like we always do. Because again, with the F1 Gambling Podcast and the F1 season coming to a close, we don't get to talk about racing odds until till getting closer to January. So it's been fun talking these, and we'll have more because Caesars has given us our full slate of stuff back. That's for sure.
Yeah. We haven't talked about next week's show flow, but Caesars has a ton of future stuff up. So we're just going to continue. And we've got a lot of other stuff we're going to sprinkle in. Like we had the Snowball Derby this week, obviously, on the first episode this weekend. But yeah, there is a ton of different options. I mean, they've got top threes. They have exactas, both to finish in the top 10, winning manufacturer, top Chevy, Ford, Toyota, top Toyota and Chevy. Like there's groups, Rod. Oh my God. Bless you, Caesars. It's wonderful. Can't wait to talk about more features next week.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, then next week is next week. Let's say goodbye to this week and to everybody listening. Thanks for tuning in this week. Again, all of you who listen to the off-season content, you are the true OGs. You're the real ones. We recognize you. And if you're not listening to the off-season, we still love you too. But I mean, if you're already into this, yeah, I was going to say you're not hearing it if you're not listening to it. But love you guys so very, very much. And thanks for keeping this train rolling. And we look forward to producing more over the course of the next couple months. So, Cody, as we say goodbye, remind everyone where they can find you outside of the confines of this space.
Yes, Rod. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Follow us on Facebook, both on the X and the Facebook. Got the countdown every day. Trying to slip those fun stats in there about the numbers and some pictures. So it's a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys next week for some more NASCAR talk.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez and on Blue Sky at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, in between media, the back road's still rolling on. I'll join them later on in the off season, but do that. Rate, review, subscribe, do all the things that keep the train rolling for this show as we get into the next season, because the bosses definitely pay attention every time a 5-star review comes through. They love to see it, and we love to see it, and we love to pass it on to you. So do all of those great things. We'll see you guys next week with more fun to be had in NASCAR world. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.